I am under prosecution by the federal government. I can't believe the DOJ would do this to me. They're coming after me because I fight for you. And so when they come after me, they're really coming after you. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Is this Donald Trump I hear? Is this Viktor Orban I hear? Piso? I mean, who is this? Is this Aaron? This is supposed to be the mayor of New York? My goodness. Would Bill de Blasio be doing this? I mean, Rudy Giuliani, I think would probably be doing this, but would Bill de Blasio do this? I don't know. He'd probably just talk about the beauty of his interracial family, because that seemed to be a topic he wanted to focus on during the debates. For, I mean, uniting the country reasons, for, hey, look at me, I'm diverse reasons, who knows? But I don't know if anybody else would have immediately gone into this defense of they're coming after me. It's one thing to be like, hey, the government's got it wrong. It's one thing to go like, hey, you know, this is actually an example of them not, you know, gathering all the facts, and it's not a full picture, and the prosecution's overeager. But no, he just goes full, Eric Adams, are under prosecution of the federal government because the Biden-Harris DOJ would pick on the Democratic mayor of New York for some reason. Let's listen to him, and let's talk about the corruption charges and the charges of him taking foreign money that he is facing down. And if I'm being honest with you guys, there is a thing about, you know, their day in court, but if half of what is in this indictment is true, I don't think Adams has much of a chance.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies. But they would not be surprising. I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target, and a target I became.
This is the line I don't get. When he says I'll become a target, this is an implication that the federal government is targeting Eric Adams because Eric Adams is so effective at getting things for New Yorkers. What would those things be? Why would they be in contradiction with the Harris-Biden administration if he's trying to suggest it might be them going after him, or the Department of Justice? You cannot just vaguely say that I am under attack because I love you so much. You know, it seems a little silly. You know, seems a little manipulative. But no, that seems to be the entirety of his public-facing defense at this point. And I know we've just started looking into it, but yeah, no, this is basically the entirety of his defense.
For months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty. Just this past week, they searched the home of our new police commissioner, looking for documents from 20 years ago, just 1 week after he joined my administration. Enough. I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit.
And what's interesting is he doesn't mention anything in the indictment here. He just says, I'm being charged with crimes. They are lies. I am being attacked because I'm fighting for you. How dare the government look into paperwork from 20 years ago of people in my administration? Mind you, Eric Adams and like the rumors of the government possibly going after him for something like this has been floating around for a while, and he's been, you know, it's been shifting and shaking for roughly about 10 months now. So he's had time to probably think. And according to the evidence in the indictment, he did put some effort in covering it up, but he doesn't seem to have any counter battery fire, anything to respond with outside of these platitudes. And let's just go into exactly what he's facing. Let's not talk in vagaries. Let's not talk in, oh God, he's facing a lot. Let's get real specific. And we're going to listen to the DOJ. They had a 10-minute press conference. I do not think we're going to watch all 10 minutes. We're probably going to watch 4 or 5. Then we're going to look at parts of the indictment and the stuff that I think is most condemning or most... It's where there's smoke, there's fire, and there is a lot of smoke, and there's even some fire, and we're going to show that. And I'm not going to show everything. I'm not going to go into every piece of evidence. The indictment's about 44 pages, so it would take you about a day to really sift through and go through everything if you paid attention. and, you know, sat down and really concentrated on reading. So you can if you want. We're just going to focus on the stuff that I think is most clear cut. Let's start with the DOJ hearing over this. And mind you, Eric Adams, while this was going on, released this video statement before the indictment came out, tried to get ahead of it, did a press conference, which we're going to watch in a second, roughly around the same time, trying to again get ahead of it. And this is the press conference Eric Adams was preparing for the last probably 10 months.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for gathering. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the United States Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today, we are announcing campaign finance, bribery, and conspiracy charges against Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. As the indictment alleges, Mayor Adams engaged in a long-running conspiracy in which he solicited and knowingly accepted illegal campaign contributions from foreign donors and corporations. As we allege, Mayor Adams took these contributions even though he knew they were illegal, and even though he knew these contributions were attempts by a Turkish government official and Turkish businessmen to buy influence with him. We also allege that the mayor...
Can I just say, props to the Turks. They keep catching our boys. They caught Michael Flynn. They caught Eric Adams. They are truly the bipartisan option when it comes to government corruption and finance options for politicians. I appreciate the equal opportunity values that Turkish corruption holds.
Sought and accepted well over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits from some of the same foreign actors who arranged many of the illegal campaign contributions. These benefits included free international business class flights and opulent hotel rooms in foreign cities. The mayor had a duty to disclose these gifts on his annual public disclosure forms so that the public could see who was giving him what. But as we allege, year after year after year, he kept the public in the dark. He told the public he received no gifts, even though he was secretly being showered with them.
Be clear, we're talking about a decade of gifts from these Turkish government officials, amounting to roughly about $100,000, which included flights to Ghana, of course, many flights to Istanbul and Turkey, like you said, opulent hotel stays. And each one of these things, we're talking like $10,000 here, $15,000 here. And these are really like nice, like plane seats. He's getting business class. He is not sitting in coach, that's for sure. And this was done with an expectation of something being done in return, which ended up being shown when the Turkish government was trying to open a new consulate building in the city of New York. They were going to have Erdogan, the president of Turkey, come over. And as they were trying to rush this consulate building being up in time for the Turkish president's visit, because, and let me just throw out there, the Turkish president has had a few scandals when he comes to visit the United States. The last major one I remember is when his bodyguards started scuffling with local protesters who were, you know, angry about Erdogan, either, you know, his suppression of the press in Turkey, the degradation of civil society over there, just general opposition to Erdogan, a lot of Kurdish rights stuff. And his bodyguards just started scuffling with American locals because they didn't like the stuff they were saying. It was its own scandal. And I guess, you know, maybe they didn't want another one where he wouldn't be able to be at the consulate, even though I would say corruption in and of itself, I think it's probably a much bigger scandal. Point is, they wanted the building to be ready by the time Erdogan gets there, but the fire safety regulations in New York did not have the building up to code. There were fire safety officials, people who, their job is to stop people from dying in a high-rise building in New York, because, you know, as we saw after 9/11, once you get trapped in those upper floors, you can be in basically you're basically a dead man. And so fire safety is really important in New York. It's really, you know, there's a big scar in New York after 9/11. But the Turkish government official didn't want to have to wait for these fire safety regulations. So he simply called Eric Adams up, told him to go around these regulations, get the fire people to back off, which he did. And 4 days later, Eric Adams then went back to that government official and started asking for gifts again. This is a quid pro quo. This is, here is money. This is what we want you to do. They do the thing. Okay, here is more money in the form of gifts, vacations, flights, hotel stays, etc.
We allege that Adams accepted these benefits knowing that they were given to him because of his position. And in exchange for some of those improper benefits, he intervened in the New York City Fire Department's inspection process for a building owned and operated by the Turkish government, allowing it to open even though it had not passed a fire inspection. The corruption alleged in the indictment is, as I said, long-running. As we allege in the indictment, Adams' solicitation of illegal campaign contributions began in 2018. After he started raising funds for his 2021 mayoral campaign, he agreed to take contributions offered by multiple Turkish businessmen.
Mind you, this is just part of the corruption scandal. I just talked about the stuff with the flights. There's also a whole other angle when it comes to knowingly accepting donations from foreign nationals, which is completely illegal. The Eric Adams defense for this seems to be that they told their staff not to do it. But I mean, what kind of defense is murder? You think that my gang engaged in murder? Well, we had a meeting where we said murder is 100% banned. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. In fact, that's people say like that's just what a guilty person would say. Like, I'm not a spy, that's just what a spy would say. But hey everyone, remember guys, murder is banned here. Guys, no corruption, no accepting money from foreign nationals. It sounds like the type of thing you throw out there. You're trying to cover your tracks.
Several of whom he met in Turkey. Adams knew that these wealthy individuals could not legally donate in a U.S. election. Federal law clearly prohibits foreign donations. That's how we protect our elections from foreign influence. Yet Adams directed his staff to pursue this illegal money to support his campaign for mayor. And as we allege, Adams continued to pursue foreign money in secret well into 2021. And it didn't stop with his first campaign for mayor. As we allege, in 2023, the mayor rekindled these corrupt relationships, seeking more illegal campaign contributions from some of the same foreign sources to support his re-election campaign. Adams also took contributions that broke other laws. As we allege, he sought contributions from businessmen far in excess of what the law allowed. He also allegedly sought contributions from corporations, which are not allowed to contribute at all in New York City elections. Many of those illegal corporate contributions were organized by the same people who organized the illegal foreign contributions. And Adams allegedly disguised them all in the same way by accepting the money through so-called straw donors. A straw donor contributes someone else's money, hiding the money's illegal source.
I just throw out there, Eric Adams is a cop. He's like the cop mayor. He was like a beat cop for decades, I think. I forget the exact amount of time, but he was a beat cop in New York, and he takes a lot of pride in that he is supposed to be this guy that is rebuilding the strained relations between the community and the police department. Somebody who, from his pitch, if you listen to him on The Breakfast Club or on other podcasts, is like, I'm gonna go after crime. We're gonna go after crime while continuing to rebuild and like foster good community relations. And so his whole pitch was as essentially a law and order police officer coming in to clean up the mess, both the mess in the relationship the police department had with the community and the mess that is in the crime on the streets. That was his pitch. And now he is being indicted on corruption charges. The law and order cop candidate for New York ends up getting caught in a really silly corruption. He didn't need to go on these vacations. Like the campaign stuff, you can at least like oh, this is for, him building up his power and influence. It's not smart, but you could say like, oh, he's trying to do it so he can build up his power base. Like, he doesn't need to go to Ghana on these $9,000 gifts. It's completely unnecessary. It is the opulence of power taking hold of a New York politician, which is not really a news story, right? It's tale as old as time, but it is ironic considering the pitch that he had to the public. A Cowabunga Andy, thank you for the prime and being sub for 27 months. Appreciate it. Maybe, good point, actually. Maybe we need the Supreme Court to decide if also mayors are immune from criminal prosecution while in office.
As a foreign businessman, a corporation, or a wealthy New Yorker who has already contributed the maximum amount allowed. And as we allege, Adams circumvented all of these laws, taking contributions from exactly the sources the law prohibits, all to benefit his mayoral campaigns. Now, Adams also personally benefited from the illegal conduct alleged in the indictment. Adams solicited and accepted over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits for years from wealthy Turkish business people and at least one Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him. Adams started accepting undisclosed luxury travel benefits at least as early as 2016. He took these benefits nearly every year through 2021. Here are some of the benefits that we uncovered during our investigation. In 2016, Adams flew to India through Turkey and received 2 free round-trip upgrades for business class seats. That's the highest class on Turkey's national airline. Those upgrades were worth more than $12,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2017, Adams accepted free business class tickets for himself and his travel companions to France, Turkey, and China. And he was put up in the Bentley suite in the St. Regis Hotel in Istanbul. All of that was worth more than $41,000.
Wow.
And none of it was publicly disclosed.
41K.
Also in 2017, he flew to China, again, through Turkey, and accepted 2 free business class.
Hey guys, but remember, as Tim Pool, if $100,000 an episode to Tim Pool, according to him, isn't a lot, then $41,000 to the mayor of New York is nothing. Remember, guys, they're rich, so it's really not that much money.
Tickets for himself and a companion. Those were worth more than $16,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2018, he flew to Hungary through Turkey and accepted free upgrades for business class seats. Those were worth more than $12,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2019, he flew to Turkey and accepted a free upgrade to business class for his companion and a free stay in a lavish suite at the St. Regis Hotel in Istanbul. That was worth more than $9,000.
Okay, so there's a lot of this, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. Flights, hotels, opulence, totaling up to about $100,000 over roughly a decade. I think it was a year or two short of a decade of corruption. Here is him showing, and we're just going to show one more second of this. Here is him showing the graph that was prepared by the Department of Justice, listing out year after year after year the money that he was taking.
Covered during the investigation. We just list it all out here. You see the year, 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2 in 2021. The destination, India all the way to Ghana. The benefits, the free upgrades or free tickets altogether, the hotel stays, and the value. And if you just sum up all the dollar amounts here, you get to more than $100,000. And of
Okay, so first things first, can I just say, we talk a lot about, or at least in American politics, the politicization of the DOJ. We are about 40 days from the election. And here is one of the most prominent Democrats in the United States, somebody who is pitching himself as the future of the Democratic Party. Not that everybody really necessarily accepted that pitch, but was pitching himself as the future of the Democratic Party, getting just wrecked by this DOJ indictment. And they were building this up after months and the months. In fact, investigators, I believe it was the FBI, seized Eric Adams' phone so they could search it for evidence and information months ago. And now I believe Eric Adams has already said that now they've seized even more phones or more communication devices to try to gather more evidence. And the DOJ isn't done. The DOJ stated that this is what they've gathered so far and that they're going to continue to dig. And now that this has been made public, maybe you're going to expect to see some of the people around Eric Adams start to crack. Maybe you're going to find some more stuff dug, more devices seized that finds maybe more money here, more money there. I don't know if it's all going to be in Turkey or if they're going to find other countries, or it's just going to be within the span of what we see here. I would try to be conservative and estimate it's probably the latter. Either way, though, the DOJ is doing this within 40 days of the election, talking about this. And I think, while of course you cannot say that the DOJ is going to completely on every level an impartial organization, that when people talk about the politicization of the DOJ, This is the Biden-Harris DOJ going after an extremely prominent Democrat in the state of New York, 40 days out of the election, pulling no punches, listing out the corruption very blatantly, very clearly. I don't know if the Harris administration is going to come out and directly say anything about it. But I wouldn't, honestly, if this is all true, I think they should. They should just publicly come out and condemn it. They're going to win New York. It's not like the loss of Eric Adams is particularly going to like flip the state or put it one way or the other way if you lose his supporters or whatnot. But I do think this show of a bipartisan stance against corruption, no matter who it is, I think it's a smart move. When I saw Democrats respond to Senator Menendez, the senator from New Jersey, who was found to be taking tons of money from the Egyptians through gold bars that were being stuffed in his pockets. No joke, go look it up yourself, because his wife was greedy as all hell. I think that the response by people like John Fetterman and other Democrats, even though I'm not always the biggest fan of John Fetterman, which was to criticize it, condemn it, say he should resign from the Senate. I think it was a smart move. I think it made the party look principled. I think it made it look like the party holds itself to a certain standard. And I think it shows that, you know, there should not be a double standard when it comes to you and your allies when it comes to criminality. Everyone under the law should be treated the same. I'm not saying that everybody abides by that principle. I'm just saying that's the way it should work. And this is the way the DOJ should approach people from the ruling party's own institutions, party, political allies, etc. This is how it should be approached. This is, if Donald Trump was president, the way it should work is that if one of his allies in the Senate or one of his allies in the House is found to be doing this, it should be going down just like this. Would we expect that? I'll leave that, guys, up to you. I'll leave that up to you guys. Let's go through a few of these documents so you can get an idea of what was happening, because obviously it's a 10-minute press conference. They can't get into everything. This is what we're about to read is what I would say is the quid pro quo. This is the mayor of New York being given money, being given gifts, then being asked to allow the Turkish government to avoid certain regulations in the state, which he then does, before then going back to ask for more money and gifts. As of August 31st, 2021, construction on the Turkish house was complete, but the DOB has yet issued a TCO for the building. Without a TCO, the Turkish house could not be opened during the Turkish president's impending visit. The DOB had not been issued a TCO because the FD New York, Fire Department of New York, had not yet conducted an inspection and issued what the Fire Department of New York refers to as a letter of defect, which was a prerequisite to the issuance of a TCO for the Turkish house. Basically, they couldn't open the facility until they had a check to see that it was fire safe. Issuing a letter of defect is a regular Fire Department of New York procedure, which in substance identifies remaining defects in a building, fire safety system, but also serves to signal that the defects are sufficiently limited that the building can be safely occupied. So basically it's like, hey, you still got problem X, Y, and Z, but these problems are minor. Please fix them, but you can open the building. From on or about August 31st, 2021 through on or about September 9th, 2021, various New York City officials and employees, among others, sought to help the Turkish obtain a TCO for the Turkish house by lobbying the chief of the Fire Department of New York's Bureau of Fire Prevention to provide a letter of defect. The fire prevention chief refused, citing numerous reported fire safety defects, some of which were serious, at the Turkish house and the likelihood that the building would fail any inspection. On or about September 5th, the Turkish house began asking Adams, both directly and through his staffer, to intervene with the commissioner of the fire department of New York in order to secure a TCO for the house. Adams, the Turkish official, and the Adams staffer discussed these requests through phone calls and electronic messages. In a phone call to the staffer, the Turkish official stated that because Turkey had supported Adams, it was now, and I quote, his turn to support Turkey. The Adams staffer relayed this message to Adams, and Adams responded, I know. On September 6, 2021, Adams messaged the Adams staffer that he would contact the commissioner. The next day, Adams messaged the Adams staffer that he had scheduled a call with the commissioner. The day after that, Adams messaged the Fire Department of New York commissioner, asking him to call Adams, to call himself. Until that point, the messages between the Fire Department commissioner and Adams had consisted of, number one, a message from the fire department commissioner to Adams requesting to continue serving as a commissioner after he became mayor, stressing that he was loyal and trustworthy, to which Adams sent a non-committal response. And 2, September 5th, an invitation to the September 11th memorial service for the Fire Department of New York's commissioner to Adams, to which Adams responded that he would try to attend and wished to speak with him a half hour about the department. So the communications up to this point consisted of a September 11th memorial service and him asking to keep his job now that he was mayor. Okay. Gone. Point is, eventually he sits down, he talks to the fire commissioner. Listen to this. Shortly after noon on September 10th, Adams messaged the commissioner. They said the higher-ups at the Fire Department of New York did not give the inspector authorization to come. The inspector indicated needs authority to come today. The Fire Department New York commissioner responded, working on that as we speak. Adams messaged the staffer that Adams had again spoken with the commissioner, and he again told me on the phone they tried to speak and resolve this. Now, here's the important part. On September 10th, the Fire Department of New York Chief of the Department summoned the Fire Prevention Chief to a meeting. The Chief of the Department was the Fire Department of New York's Commissioner's direct subordinate and the Fire Prevention Chief's superior. The Chief of the Department informed the Fire Prevention Chief, in substance, that if the New York Fire Department did not assist the Turkish consulate in obtaining a TCO, both the Chief of the Department and the Fire Prevention Chief would lose their jobs. The Fire Prevention Chief then drafted a conditional letter of no objection for the Turkish House. The Fire Prevention Chief never before written a conditional letter of no objection, which was not standard for procedure. Instead, the Fire Prevention Chief wrote this letter, which he later described as quote-unquote unprecedented, to inform the department that the Fire Department of New York did not object to issuing the TCO, provided that the private engineers affirm that the fire alarm system functioned properly. So as long as the fire alarm works, as long as they got fucking batteries in it and it's not squeaking, then they can, it doesn't matter. Cool. Sounds good. Okay, look. This, to me, is corruption. Listen to the response they said to Adams. You are great, Eric. We are so happy to hear this. You are a true friend of Turkey. Yes, even more a true friend of yours. You are my brother. I am here to help. You are such a friend, he responded. Point is, soon after that, he got another $14,000 gift. And when talking about all these gifts and all the stuff Eric Adams was getting, this is how he was talking back and forth with the guy, trying to cover this all up. If you guys thought, well, maybe he just thought he could get gifts. Maybe, somehow, all of this was his assumption that, number one, he just he thought he could get all these gifts for free and he wouldn't have to list them. Stupid. I don't buy it. And, you know, maybe he just really likes Turkey. He was trying to cover this up. He's a cop. He understands the law. He wants to cover it up so none of the other people, you know, the police that should be arresting corrupt officials, sees anything. Listen to this. Eric Adams, the defendant, continued to conceal the benefits he received from foreign nationals seeking to gain influence over him. Adams did not report any of the 2019 gifts he received from the airline manager or the promoter on his annual disclosure form. In addition, in March of 2019, while exchanging text messages to plan another possible trip to Turkey in which the airline manager would arrange travel for Adams, the Adams staffer texted Adams, and I quote, "To be on the safe side, please delete all the messages you send me." Adams then responded, "Always do." Why would he be covering this up if he didn't know? If this wasn't a problem, if this was all above board and this was not corruption and this was not crime, why would the cop mayor be doing this? Why would they be covering his tracks? He's covering his tracks because he knows it's a crime. Because he's smart enough, because he's the mayor of New York, to know that you cannot take gifts from foreign nationals, you cannot have them contribute to your campaign, and you certainly cannot take all these trips, not disclose them, and think everything's hunky-dory because he loves the Turks so much, or the Turks are so nice. By the way, I do gotta say that hearing Eric Adams call New York the Istanbul of America does have a different ring to it now, doesn't it? Let's watch Eric Adams' response to the whole thing. He's put out some tweets as well, but I don't want to go through all of them. I think it's just like a few, but this right here seems to be his main response, which is not much of a response at all. It's what you would expect from a politician on the ropes facing a scandal. It's him saying he's for the people, and then all of his homies come up and they say, he's great, he's fantastic, he's wonderful, I've known him forever, trust this man. But even though that's the pitch he was going in with, just to show that he had a united front in his camp, and, you know, people weren't breaking rank, the problem was, number one, whoever set up the microphones, I think, is working for the Department of Justice. And they had a ton of technical problems during this, and it was a disaster. Number two, there were constant counter protesters yelling, to which they kind of seceded a ton of time to. Mind you, this is the Eric Adams live stream. So this is if you're an Eric Adams supporter, let's say you're a diehard Eric Adams loyalist and you're on the mountaintop, and no matter how much blizzards there are, how you're starving, if you lose all your equipment, you're with Eric till the end. This is where you'd go to watch him. And this right here is how it opens. Listen to this.
This is not a black day. This is a youth day. This is a youth day, Eric Adams. This is not a black day. Your policies are anti-black. You are a disgrace to all black people in this city. The things that you have done are unconscionable. You hurt our schools. Our streets are dirty. Our children are harassed by the police. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You can shush me all you want, but the people are with us.
It's not the best way for a press conference where you're already on the ropes to start. But I mean, if you have counter protesters that close, I just don't understand how, you know, is there no noise canceling? Do they not have somebody on staff that would be smart enough to do noise canceling? Why would Eric just sit there for 40 minutes? All people can do is listen to him yell. And this is the open. This is the open. What? Drown them up with cheers or just talk over it and be like, I'll take your questions. You can protest all you want after. Take some initiative. It's almost like, you know, they see like the scandal has beaten the fight out of him or something, you know, grab the mic and take the situation. Don't let him open. And now everybody watching this stream, they don't see Eric Adams, you know, sticking up for the city. They see members of the city just yelling him down for like the first minute of the broadcast. It's not good. And mind you, this happens intermittently throughout the entire broadcast. So just not a great open.
This is not a black day. This is a justice day.
First of all, I want to thank you for being here this morning. And I want to thank the supporters of all ethnic groups that I hear, particularly the men and women of the clergy that's here, that have joined me here today. And we are not surprised. We expected this. This is not surprising to us at all.
What, that the mayor of New York is corrupt, or you weren't surprised because you were corrupt, and so if you do the corruption, it's not going to be that big of a surprise? Or the fact that this was going on for like months? Probably the latter is what he's trying to imply to the public, but I don't know.
The actions that have unfolded over the last 10 months, the leaks, the commentary, the demonizing, this did not surprise us that we reached this day. And I ask New Yorkers to wait to hear our defense before making any judgments. In about 30 minutes, you're going to hear his story.
Mind you, this has been going on for 48 hours. He is indicating that he expected this in its entirety. Why does he not have a defense already? If you go to his Twitter, his defense right now is, I'm going to continue to lead New York. The lawyers will handle this moving forward. That's not a defense. That is outsourcing your defense to the legal system. And look, I hate to do the Trump comparisons, but I have to. When you listen to Rudy Giuliani talk in public and Rudy Giuliani talk in the courtroom, it's totally different. And while he's going to be like completely like, oh, you know, I'm innocent in the public, like maybe there is some truth to see like how is his lawyers actually going to talk about it when the cold hard facts of the case are before a judge that can put out, you know, criminal liability. You'll be like, you're criminally liable. You're criminally liable. So maybe there is truth to the matter of pay attention to the court instead of the press conferences. But if he truly is innocent, if he truly is not guilty, and this is not just a way to divert and like distract so he can survive through the scandal, then why hasn't he have anything prepared? What if you knew this was coming for months, then you should be prepared to be able to be like, X, Y, and Z proves that I am not corrupt. When I visited Ghana, here's the receipts I have for my visit to Ghana. That would be it. You'd be like, boom, I got this receipt. I paid on it. I used my rewards card. I used I got some points from American Airlines and I did this. Provide that evidence.
Of the case that is in front of us. This story will come from the federal prosecutors. And I ask to wait and hear our side to this narrative. From here, my attorneys will take care of the case so I can take care of the city. My day-to-day will not change. I will continue to do the job for 8.3 million New Yorkers that I was elected to do. And the 300,000 plus employees of our city government will continue to do their jobs, because this is what we do as New Yorkers.
Again, his whole pitch is, look, I'm still working. And he doesn't really say anything here. This whole press conference is just, I mean, what you would expect from a local politician on the ropes. Him calling out all of the characters that he has met through his time in politics that's still willing to stick by him under this situation, getting them under this tent under the rain, and having them one after the other say, this guy is credible, you could trust this guy. None of them, presumably, would have been with him on these trips to Turkey, or knew anything about any gifts he could have received, or whether or not that trip to Ghana was paid by. None of these people are in the know. These are all this is all just him looking at the crowd and saying, look, I'm New York. New York loves me. I'm still got the support of the people. It's not a direct refutation of anything. In fact, he hasn't refuted anything that the Department of Justice has put forward yet. So far, it's just been a completely kind of like populist-esque response.
My professional career.
You are mayor, and will be till time come, still will be our mayor. To all the supporters, irrespective of what people say, he's still our mayor.
This is what you get. You get a bunch of, starting with elderly people. And I don't know, like, I'm cynical, okay? I assume these elderly people are being chosen because they know Eric Adams well. But it's also probably feels a lot weirder to heckle a 90-year-old woman. I'd feel a little bit more uncomfortable heckling a 90-year-old woman than like some 37-year-old suit state senator that I don't like anyway. And when they brought out the 90-year-old woman, though, that crowd did not care, and they heckled away.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Hazel Dukes. I live in Harlem.
They got people in the crowd cheering for Eric Adams. Whether they're paid plants or local devotees, I do not know. I'm not usually one to believe in paid plants, but when you're in this type of political survival mode, and you know there's going to be hecklers, you want a few people out there going, woo, just to overpower them.
I'm 90. Would you be quiet? Would you shut up? I'm 92 years of age. Yes. I've known this young man for over 40 years. I come with a heavy heart today, but my head is not unbowed. All right. He's going to have his day in court. And we're going to stand by him. Yes, we came this morning to pray for him. Yes. Because prayer changed things. Yes. I am asking all New Yorkers to hear his side. Yes. To let him have a day in court. Let him have his day in court. Amen. And then we can make our decisions. Amen. But we are not here today to criticize The federal government.
Yeah, I hear that guy in the crowd. Yes, we are. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to criticize. Screw you. You're not here to criticize. Your job is to polish his image. And dude, the problem with this press conference is every time anyone in the crowd dares to raise their voice against them, the entire mood immediately shifts towards that person. All their eyes dart to them. They give them their full attention. It is the worst thing you can do here. It's giving the protester everything and anything they could have asked for, which is the direct mayor's attention as they tell them, screw you.
You might be, but shush. That's all you do. That's all you brought here to criticize. Yeah. We are going to be here. We're going to be here.
I'm sorry, Mother Dude. Hey, brother, this is a 92-year-old elder. Show us some respect. A 92-year-old elder.
She stands next to you. She stands next to Cuomo. As the NAACP, as the
Mother Dude.
501c3, you should not be standing for a political candidate. Stop that. You are always in favor. You are always in favor of the Capitol.
Painful. Why isn't taking control of this way? I mean, she's a 92-year-old woman. Like, I'm not gonna blame her. But like Eric, like, if you're gonna say shush, like shush, like make them shush, like, oh, take control of the situation. He's just kind of passively standing there hoping his posse defends him. That's what it feels like. But like unironically, he's hiding behind this old woman. What he's done. This is a committee. This is a hearing with the people, with the public and the press over the indictment, over the fact that the mayor of New York is facing corruption charges. And instead of talking about the corruption charges, he's got all these people come out trying to defend his legacy. And then when people are like, you know, hey, what the heck? Like, it's like, wow, how dare you? What did you expect? I mean, come on. It's the first press conference you give since you face this major scandal, certainly the biggest scandal of his time as mayor, and you open with the elderly people. It feels like a shield.
Mother Dude.
It's an effective shield, though. It'd work on me. I'd wait for the next person to heckle.
Calling on all New Yorkers to listen carefully, not to the loudmouths, but listen to facts and figures. His lawyers will go and do our work for us.
This would be a lot more convenient for them if the DOJ did not release the facts and figures.
And we will stand with this mayor. Right.
Thank you.
You put the police on the people.
We want to now bring one of our amazing bishops up forward now. Bishop.
You're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to black people. You're an embarrassment to black people.
Man, that crowd is vicious. You are an embarrassment to
We
black
are admonished to
people,
be
is what they're
angry and sin not. We can have our anger and we move forward. 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 None of us. None of us have ever done anything in our lives that we've asked forgiveness for and it was not granted.
Oh no, don't do this. Are you stupid? Why would you You do not do a press conference about corruption charges and have lines like, God shall forgive me. That doesn't imply innocence. That's a bad move. God if Jesus would forgive me, maybe you should too. It's not, I don't know, that's the pathway. I mean, look, she has a lot of people, he has a lot of people here from the clergy. So, maybe you're going to get some religious rhetoric, but I don't think forgiveness is the route you should be opening with here.
We live in a society where if we do something, there is a due process for all of us. There's a process that starts, it has a middle, and it has an end. And none of us has the right to preempt that process. If I have an accident, I have to report it to my insurance, and they fight it out, and then a verdict is announced. We cannot prejudge any situation in fear that we might prejudge it inappropriately. And the same justice that we want for ourselves, we want for our mayor. That's right. If I confess, I know there is a God that says he's faithful and just to forgive me of my sin.
Again, stop with the forgiveness. Okay, we're moving on. I will say she's the first one to kind of like grab it by the horns. So I got to give her credit there, but she did follow like two pretty elderly people. So I don't know how much credit I should give her. He comes in, and this is when you start having really bad audio problems, and you lose out on dialogue from him. From this woman, I missed everything. This woman seems semi-interesting. She seems like she popped straight out of Fraggle Rock, so I was kind of excited to hear what she had to say. But you can't hear anything. Listen to the audio here. Remember, this is the official stream for the mayor. Listen to the audio here.
When a real warrior, Jackie Rowe Adams.
My girl, Jackie. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I stand in one of the best mayors ever. Eric Adams is the best mayor ever. He is got things done when people running their mouth and doing nothing.
She's making some good points. She's really convincing me.
Do something, and then you can say something. Do something. Mayor Adams stood on the steps of City Hall when he wasn't there, and I want y'all to hear this. We have families that just lost.
And this happens for like the entirety of her speech. It's literally, it doesn't stop until she's done, and then we move on to this suit. And then when you get back to this suit and the audio is like semi-good again, all you can hear for the entirety of this guy's speech is more heckling.
You are a socialist!
And then as the press conference goes on, they get more and more crazies start to gather, and it's no longer even people like criticizing him about the scandal. Just like random insult, like you're a commie, you know, from I guess the city's right-leaning faction. Where were we? We were right here. God, do I have to refresh this? This stream had a lot of problems. Like, you can't even hear it. It's so bad, the heckling.
Donald Trump with 34 out. You ain't protesting nowhere. That burns me up.
Okay, so at this point, he starts accepting answers from the press. Questions from the press, but none of these are giving good answers. When he's asked, like, hey, Eric Adams, what's this thing about you being prosecuted by the DOJ? Who's prosecuting you? His response to that, go ask the people at the DOJ. Wait, how do you, if you're saying that they're going after you because you're fighting for the people, unless it's just like a vague platitude, which it is, then you should be able to say, I did this, you know, I passed this tax reform, I passed this thing for the people, the DOJ didn't like it, Biden-Harris didn't like it, some people, and maybe he's going to go as far to say deep state didn't like it, and so they went after me. Like, have a person to point out, a policy to point at, something to point at. If it's just a vague platitude, it is the weakest defense you could possibly muster. It is just like, oh my gosh, just like the rest of my constituents. What would happen if everyday Americans, when they get gifted $100,000 from the Turkish government, they could start facing prosecution? Like, that's not, like, it's really hard to connect that to I fight for you, so they fight me, you know? Do we have anything else here of any note? No, it's really just a, like, bad. It's not good. There's some more audio problems at some point. It's just responding to some of the same questions over and over again because he doesn't want to give a good answer. He just says, wait, we'll have our day in court or go ask the DOJ. So we got really, if I'm being 100% with you guys, we got nothing of substance from this. The only thing we got outside of what we've already discussed is him like talking about his phones being seized, stuff we already knew about, was already rumors flying around everywhere. Look, if this is the best defense Eric Adams can muster, then Eric Adams, he needs some, I don't know, man, he's going to need some like riot cops to build a better defense or something. He's got to figure something out, because if he's been doing this for 10 months and he hasn't come up with a defense yet, then he's got no narrative. And if his narrative is they're coming after me because I'm defending you, then it's just vague populist nonsense that I think is going to fall flat. There was already other problems with Eric Adams' mayorship. His popularity was not exactly, I would say, groundbreaking, and I don't think this is going to help. Not only are we probably going to get more information if this goes to trial and it's going to drip out and it's going to extend the pain, the only thing that really might be saving Eric Adams from this being a federally, like, nationally groundbreaking headline is the fact that this election has been so crazy, and we've had like two assassination attempts on the former president of the United States like the last 100 days. So this election is pretty crazy already, and that might be the only saving grace for Eric Adams, is the fact that at least it's in crazy times. He's making it just only a tiny bit crazier. Gotta say, out of all the things that happened this election season, the mayor of New York getting indicted on corruption charges does feel like the most normal. What would happen if whenever people subscribe to Dylan Burns TV for $4.49 or free with Twitch Prime, would he get prosecuted? Yes. Yes. I would get many years in the gulag. Many, many years. Okay.